Hey, good morning, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good on this Tuesday, the second day of July. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to Storm Talk. We are tracking some storms coming our way. Not today, but for tomorrow and Thursday and for Friday. And at times, it will be rocking and rolling around here. I mean, these are going to be fairly loud systems rolling through here, day and night. Important to note that. So you may get some early morning wake up calls. And if you have any plans for the 4th, to be outside, pool parties, cookouts, etc. Thursday is going to be a little bit of a challenge. It's not going to storm all day, but there will be some challenges there. But even into Friday, there will be some storms. But I think if you're certainly going to be doing anything that's going to require camping or anything overnight on travel, just make sure you're paying really close attention to the outlook because overnight time periods of these thunderstorms will be very efficient on heavy rainfall, and you don't want to be caught in that. If we're going to be out and about, certainly when you may not be able to pay attention. So make sure, again, have a way to be notified. Wave weather app, no weather radio, great tools to have in a setup like that. I'll walk you through all that. And of course, we'll talk about Beryl as well coming up in a second with the hurricane. All right. Good morning, everyone. Again, comment on FaceTube, YouTube, X, Twitter, and I'll be able to see your comments. And I see Marianne. Hello, Marianne. Hope all is well. Hello, Kevin. And let's see, one more. Hello, Angela. I'll give you a shout out as well. Okay, I see your comments. Hold on to your questions if you can for just a moment until I can get into the finer details. And then if I haven't answered, then it's all fair. Then we'll discuss it. All right, let's get you outside. Beautiful sky overhead. A lot of you saw the sundog and the halo effect of the ice crystals with these cirrus clouds rolling in right when the sun was passing through them this morning. Typically, that's a sign the rain is on the way in 24 hours. When you see the halo, whether it's around the moon or, in this case, you get more of a halo around the sun, or even a sundog, which it looks like a second sun in a way, kind of displaced, like a prism look. Most of the time, that rule of thumb does actually hold because it's indicating when you get cirrus clouds like that, ice crystals, it's usually in advance of a weather system. So 24 hours that you'll expect rain, that's pretty fair rule of thumb to go on this. And this one, again, looks to be the case as well. All right, today we're not expecting rain, but it is going to be quite warm, if not hot. Humidity will not be excessive, so I don't think we have anything to worry about on that just yet. So far, 13 days in the can for 90-degree temperatures or higher this year for Louisville. This time last year, we had 5 days. Ended up with 30 that year. Most of them were July, late July, and to August. We peaked at 99 last year on August 20, I think it was August 28th. Seems like forever from now will be August 28th. So you get the idea. We're already out to a higher pace, but it does still look quite stormy down the road. So there are several opportunities where we can be held back from getting to 90 because of clouds and thunderstorms. So that may ease out some of these numbers. We'll see as we head down the road. All right. Currently outside, 69 degrees. It was another very comfortable morning outside. I'm going to miss that. We're not really going to get a taste like that. We may come close at times this weekend, but nothing like to this level. But it'll be the closest thing to what we have now will be this weekend. The next time you will feel it. Otherwise, very humid the next couple of days. Even some warm overnight lows as far as records being met for how warm they are may get set again. Louisville did this already. I think a couple of times we've done this. Even tied our warmest we had ever been in the morning hours, which was 83 degrees. So we already did that. So check that off the list. But it may be rivaled with that at times, especially Wednesday night. I think that's going to be a very humid night, and the thermometers is not going to move much at all. All right. So today, the cirrus clouds rolling in from the north. You can barely even see them. They're there. There's a mid deck of clouds across southern Kentucky and Lake Cumberland. That's just the moisture feeding northbound. That's why it's flowing north like that. That just tells us that everything's on track for a hot day today. That's all it really is telling us. So you may be a little more on the partly to mostly cloudy sky at times, maybe, and across central Kentucky. This will scoot right up near Louisville and up towards Cincinnati as we know later on today. Wider view shows that the Midwest has got where most of the rain is going to be for today, and the storms will be there tonight. And then the leftovers of that will be key on how that will evolve into our severe threat as we head into at least parts of tomorrow. And there's Beryl right there. Look at that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it because it's everywhere. Every newscast, nationwide, I think worldwide, all over social media. Everyone's fully aware of what this hurricane's doing. And I think right now, it's the important thing is if you know anyone that is anywhere close to Jamaica, that's the next target. I don't know if it'll be a direct hit, but it's going to be awful close. And it will then start to weaken. It should start weakening later today, actually. It's a Cat 5 right now at 165 miles per hour. But it as it weakens, tropical systems, when they do weaken like that, they do actually grow in size, could even double in size by the time we head toward the Yucatan Peninsula for the holiday weekend. So this has got a much more of a reach to it, is what I'm trying to say. So even though Jamaica may not have a direct hit with the eye, it's going to be growing in size where those hurricane force winds will actually get further out to you. But more on that coming up in a second. I already got on a tangent. All right, severe risk today is in a spot that doesn't want it. They've had it many times. I don't know how many enhanced risk they've had, but it's got to be up there for Missouri and Iowa, right? So they're at it again later today. Now, what's important is some of the clouds from that will blow off tomorrow. That would be a key factor on temperatures and perhaps how the instability will play out for fuel for thunderstorms tomorrow. So really how this evolves tonight, it's going to be a bit of a question mark, especially for the afternoon hours for tomorrow, early afternoon. But we are in the slight risk, at least most of you that are watching are in that slight risk for tomorrow. Everyone's got a severe risk, but it is a slight for Indiana and northern Kentucky. So we have upgraded this to the alert day status. And there's really two issues here that may come into play. It may not be just storms, it may also be the heat. But the storm threat, anytime you get really hot days like this in the summer and you have a front nearby, the downburst winds, the straight line winds, not so much, I'm talking tornadoes here, I'm talking about straight line winds that really just rush down, and it can last sometimes a good 30 seconds, if not longer, of it just being a very intense wind outside. And you're like, what is going on? They can cause problems with power outages and trees getting knocked down, that kind of ordeal. That's the type of threat that we need to watch out for. Otherwise, I think flooding. And I know it seems odd to say that because we're talking about a drought, but I do think the rainfall rates are going to be high. And it doesn't matter if you've been in a drought or not. You get a very high rainfall rate, you are going to cause problems with street flooding, hydroplaning, that kind of ordeal. So that's what we need to watch out for as well. Okay, so let me show you Futurecast. Today, you can see that we've got a little bit of fuel in southern Kentucky. And that's just the moisture, again, increasing in that south flow. But we're not worried about rain with that. Storms today will blossom into Missouri, into Iowa. You see them there. Not far from Quincy, Illinois, heading to the north and east. This is around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight. So notice at 10 o'clock tonight, too, by the way, we're still in the 80s. So much warmer tonight than what we have been spoiled with the past couple of evenings. The thermometer is not going to be in much of a hurry to drop tonight like it has been. So, I mean, it's not going to be miserable, all right? The humidity is going to be felt, but it's not going to be excessive. But you're going to notice the difference is what I'm trying to say. Those storms, again, continue to move to the east and weekend. We will get the blow-off clouds from that. Again, that's a key factor in tomorrow and how much cloud cover we have lingering that will fly over us. We're expecting it to thin out, though, by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which should be enough time to then allow for the fuel to build up and showers and storms to blossom. Now, the question is, where will they pop? Not only that, but when. But the front itself has got a range of roughly about where the slight risk is. I mean, it's very close to the Ohio River, but that's the buffer zone. I mean, they could form late in the afternoon tomorrow, more into Illinois, and then take a little bit longer to get into Louisville and along the river. They could form right over us, and therefore our time of arrival is going to be like immediate, 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, not much of a heads up. Or they could form a little more towards Cincinnati. That part still has to get worked out because the models are still not clear on where to have the bands of storms form. Now, my concern with this is that once they do form, I don't think they're going to be able to move very much at all south. So you're going to end up with a east-west setup. Anytime, if you guys have watched the blog over the years, anytime you got thunderstorms especially, or even moderate rainfall, that is in an east-west configuration, that is a flash flooding signal. So we need to watch that because it could be a setup where you've got storms going crazy across southern Indiana and near Louisville and near I-64, but say you're in Mount Washington or Bardstown and you're just staring it down, but you may not get anything until later into the night. So once this band forms, there's still some questions on how far. I think in order to get south, it's going to have to produce an outflow from the storm that would generate a new one to the south. That's about the only way I see a motion to the south because the front itself is not really moving. So it's kind of like a mind trick here. So the storms have to do the motion there. And I just don't think they're going to have much of a push south at all. They would have to, again, have downbursts to push them southward. Otherwise, they'll just keep redeveloping, guys. And that's where we're going to get into repeated rounds, showers and storms. I hope it's not the same location over and over. That's miserable. You can see here that even overnight, it develops them a little more south. Again, you got to think of Pac-Man when it comes to these thunderstorms. They want to eat the fuel, and the fuel's in the red and the gold areas you see there. And they already ate it away there into St. Louis and Southern Indiana. So now they're feeding a little more south. But once they're distracted, to put a personality to them, once they're distracted and they're feeding on Southern Kentucky, well, the fuel begins to go back up again for Illinois and Southern Indiana. And then that allows another round to move in early 4th of July morning showers and storms. These will be quite loud, FYI. Very heavy rainfall, some gusty winds. We'll get a break, and you guessed it, we're going to do it again. We'll charge things up again. There's some dry time. There was a good, on that particular model, there was a good 6-7 hours of nothing after the morning storm. So again, I don't want you to cancel your 4th of July plans. Just be aware that it's going to be, this is a very messy thunderstorm setup. It's one of those things, again, when you have day and night being affected, so it makes it very difficult to time things out. I know it's difficult for you to make plans. I just want you guys to have fun, enjoy the safe, and be safe this holiday weekend. Just have a backup plan, especially if you are the host, having people over. Just make sure you know where to put them if storms do hit. And then another round, it looks like we'll move at some point into 4th of July night into Friday. Again, some of those could be locally strong. All right, the severe risk from Colorado State. Let's bring that up. Everyone loves this map. Okay, tomorrow, it actually did fill in a bit more on nearly matching SBC, right? I mean, that's very close. That black dot, by the way, is the max point it feels severe weather will be, and that's basically east of Cincinnati is where it has it. But it's not a very high level risk. Again, it's still low on the scale here, but it's very much focused on the boundary. Okay, 4th of July, mainly across Missouri. Missouri certainly has a stronger signal for a severe threat on Thursday than we do, but it's not zero for us. And then Friday, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of the yellow right there, right over central Kentucky. Isn't that hilarious? Saturday, we quiet things down. Sunday, quiet things down. And then next week, we get back into a stormy setup. So yes, the weekend still looks decent. So if you have to adjust your plans from the 4th of July holiday, you have the weekend as a backup. That's good. Rainfall. I mentioned that training effect. Don't take these values at face value for your particular location, but I want you to look at the values and see the potential. Any thunderstorm in the setup for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night will have the ability of about 2.5 inches of rain per hour. Now, hopefully it'll move in an hour's time or weaken, and they should in general. But if you end up with that full potential of 1 hour and that storm doesn't move over your neighborhood, then yes, you're looking at 2.5 inches of rain. And you see the problem, if you get more than one of these bad boys, then you're ended up with about 4 inches of rain. So this can escalate quickly, right? So just be weather aware. Again, flash flooding is more of an issue in urban settings, especially when you've been dry. Not all areas have been. Some of you got a decent amount of rain recently, but still those that are really, really dry, the ground's like concrete. So runoff actually is higher in heavy rain setups like this. With a rainfall rate of 2.5 inches an hour, the water cannot soak in the ground. Ground's just way too hard. So if you've been trying to dig lately, doing some yard work, you understand that shovel hits and you're like, this is like concrete. So the water has no choice but to run off the ground. So on hillsides, interstates, downtown urban areas, all that just funnels into the streets. So you end up with urban and street flooding, and that can cause certainly some traffic issues. So just be aware of that potential as we head into tomorrow night, and really Thursday and even Friday. These totals go through Friday at 2:30 a.m. There will likely be additional storms after this model has concluded. So these totals could be higher as a grand total by the time this is all said and done. So who's more at risk for flash flooding? Well, this map, and I'll bring it up full, this is a lot of pretty colors, right? What I want you guys to get from that, and here's Louisville right here, is that any area that has got a purple to it, or even a light purple especially, but especially a purple, light purple, more at risk for flash flooding. Areas that are red have a lower risk of flash flooding. And you can see that that includes several of you in Indiana. There was that one stripe of heavy rain. You can see it there in Indiana. And then east side of Louisville, Jefferson County, off to the east also picked up some heavy rain recently. So you got a little bit of a purple hint. Also into near the parkways, the south, and certainly southeast Kentucky is more prone to flash flooding. But a lot of us in the core wave country here, a lot of us actually are on the other end of the scale on this. So again, the ground in general can handle quite a bit of rainfall in this setup, but it cannot handle a lot of rainfall in an hour. All right, this is it's got to be stretched out if it can be, and kind of spread throughout time periods. If it's all in 1 hour, then this map doesn't matter. It's going to cause flooding. Okay, so we'll watch it. The chances of storms. We'll increase this into the afternoon. There could be one or two, by the way, eager storms. There's always one or two that just want to hurry up and fire up and get the attention on the radar. One or two of those could easily form 3, 4 o'clock. However, the majority of them that will form in that line will be a little closer to 6, 7 o'clock. And again, that line itself is not going to move, but the storms could produce a gust and feed on the Pac-Man theory here, feed on a new line that could form in central Kentucky, but that could take until later into the night, into the overnight for that to happen. So it can shift around quickly. If it's going to shift anywhere, though, it will likely go more south because that's where your better moisture is than it is north. Okay. The other issue, it's not just storms tomorrow. It will be the heat because, again, to get a rainfall rate of 2.5 inches per hour, that means you've got a lot of water in the air. You're going to be wearing it tomorrow for your outfit. It's going to be that humid. So with that in mind, temperatures of 94, 95, it's going to make it feel more like 102 to 105 degrees. 105 pushes us very close to heat advisory level. It's going to be close. And so far, we've lucked out. We really haven't been over 100, maybe once or twice, if that, this season. So we really have lucked out on avoiding the really high heat index level. But tomorrow, I think it'll become a factor. So just take it easy outside. Yard work, anything like that, just kind of hold off. I know you want to get your yards all pretty and ready for a guest for holiday weekend, but today is going to be a lot better to do that than tomorrow will be. All right, so that's the setup on Wednesday. Everyone good? If you're good, type 1. If you're not good, I will see your comment or question, and I will come back. Kevin, is suppressible weather down the road to be influenced by the hurricane? I'm about ready to cover that, so hang tight. Angela, I see you have the same question. Everyone loves the tropics. All right. Okay. I see a lot of ones. Ashley, this will be, your question is this going to be clusters or it will be clusters, but in a line of clusters. So both in a way. And when you connect them together, there's a line, but they may not be a solid line, if that makes sense. All right. Everyone looks good on that end. Good. Great. Just be weather aware. We'll keep you updated. And I'll be on here again tomorrow morning. Same time, same channel. So we'll see what it looks like then. All right, looking down the road, we have that stormy setup Thursday and Friday. We get into the weekend. The good news is we should have a dip in the jet to allow for us to be in a Goldilocks area to take down the rain chance, enjoy some comfortable air. That's great. By the way, if you're wondering where Burrow is at that point, right there, already past Cancun into the Bay of Campeche at that point by the time we get into the weekend. All right, then we get into next week. Now, this gets messy again next week because we're going to see a very much a trough that gets stuck here in the southeast corner of the country, which is going to constantly feed moisture into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, New England. It will be a daily chance for showers and storms starting perhaps as early as Monday, more likely Tuesday, and then perhaps every day next week. We will have clusters of showers and storms we'll have to be tracking. At the same time, yes, we're going to be watching Burl and what happens because the upper air pattern is key, right? Tropical systems want to find a weakness and whatever's happening in the United States here and a little bit higher latitude, it wants to find a weakness to find a way to sneak in and attack. And if it can't, it has no choice but to go west. So it's really a question of whether or not it will move into the Gulf of Mexico and find that weakness and make that turn, which some of the modeling is trying to hint could happen. If Burrow were to stay strong and say miss the Yucatan and stay a little more on the northern side of the peninsula itself, because it is a faster rotating type of system, due to the Coriolis effect, it would actually turn more right and therefore would have a chance to get pulled into the Gulf states at that point too. So a couple of things we've got to watch on that, but right now majority of the data likes the west side yet versus northwest. But that's the least of our problems because if we are dealing with a constant tropical feed there, we're going to be dealing with a lot of thunderstorm action, maybe some severe weather at times next week mixed in with flash flooding. So yeah, it sounds like a blast, right? So next week may not be the best week. for us weather-wise. Okay. Burl. All right, here is now we got a new advisory coming in at 11, so about 50 minutes or so. By the midday show, I should have it. But last check, and it's been holding at this level, 165 all through the night. At Cat 5 levels there. Crazy. Look at that eye wall. It's stadium effect on the eye wall. And for a while, it had the buzzsaw effect, which looks like a circular buzzsaw. It does not have that as much now. You can already tell it's being influenced. It looks like it's doing an eye wall replacement too. So it's being heavily influenced at the moment on the outer bands. But its game plan is to stay at least at Cat 3 as it gets toward Jamaica, which Jamaica will be tomorrow night. And then it's past the Cayman Islands, and then into Yucatan as we get into Friday. And then we'll see what happens if Brownsville, Texas gets involved, Houston, or it ends up staying into Mexico, which that would make 3 systems in a row that have all went into the Mexican coast there with very heavy rainfall. Alberto, Chris, and Burl. So that's been a target zone, it seems like, as of late. But that's the tropics. All right. So right now, to answer your question, Kevin, no, there is no direct impact expected. Down the road next week, if it can make that turn, it would dissolve and fall apart. But its moisture very well could make it here. I can't rule that out. So it may not look the same. It would just be a blob of rain mixed in with other blobs of rain. But it no doubt would enhance rainfall totals. So it does bear watching for later next week. We got some time. All right. There's your entire 10-day, guys. You can see the numbers there where we've got 92 today, mid-90s tomorrow. And then after that, because of storms, I mean, it's going to be really tough to get up there for 90s. So that's the plus. We try to get up there, then we get into that stormy air pattern next week, and we'll see what happens with the numbers there. But we may stay in the 80s next week because of that. All right. Everyone good? Sorry, it was a big rant today, but just want to make sure to explain. It's not overly complex type of setup, but there are a lot of moving parts, especially to Wednesday. But even in the Thursday and Friday, it's just a typical stormy setup. I hate that it's 2 years in a row for the 4th of July holiday that we're dealing with severe weather. But we had that last year for the entire holiday weekend. At least this year, it's not the entire holiday weekend. It's only for Thursday and Friday to be impacted. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll see what happens with Burrow coming up on midday, and I'll see you guys coming up then at 11 a.m. Take care.